Relatable Media wants to invite you to Catch the Story, a podcast that celebrates the art of storytelling. In each episode, we'll have guests present their own stories sure to captivate and inspire you. You can catch the next episode of Catch the Story on your favorite podcast platform. Hello, everybody. I am Lucia Matuonto, and welcome to the Relatable Voice podcast, a talk show where my guests and I talk about relatable everyday situations, books, and the environment we live in. Remember to subscribe and follow the podcast on social media so you can be notified when a new episode is available. Let's begin. Welcome to another episode of the Relatable Voice podcast. Today, we are taking you to Michigan to have a delightful chat with the author Jody Hedlund. Jody has published over 50 books and holds many awards to her name. When she's not writing, you can often find her with a good book in one hand and a cup of coffee and chocolate close by. Her upcoming book, Calling on the Matchmaker, is coming out in December. So, my dear Jody, welcome to the RV.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here today, Jody. And you've moved all over the US and you currently live in Michigan. So, what places in Midland, Michigan would you suggest for tourists?
Oh, Midland, Michigan is a wonderful town. It's very small, but we have a lot of things to do. And I would invite anyone to come here. We're right in the middle of the state. And as anyone who's grown up in Michigan knows, you put up your hand or this way, and it's in the shape of a mitten. Yep. And we're like right in the middle. And so we're right close to all the Great Lakes. And so within a day's drive or even half a day's couple hours, you can be at a beach. You can be at the Mackinac Bridge. You can be in the UP. There's so many hiking and trails and lakes and everything. It's a wonderful state. And as anyone who's lived in Michigan knows, or even visited like you have, our winters are very long and harsh. We have lots of cold, gray days. And so we take our summers very seriously and enjoy every single moment of our summers because they're so short. But there's just a lot to do in the summer. And so we go boating or hiking or to the beaches. I in particular love lighthouses. We're the state with the most lighthouses on our coasts, and we're a peninsula, so we have just a ton of different lighthouses, and I've explored many of them over the course of living in Michigan. So yeah, lots to do.
And I believe the landscape is just fantastic.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Beautiful, forested, like I said, lots of lakes and beaches, coastline. So yeah, wonderful place to live. I've loved it.
I've been to Auburn Hills once for a course, but I didn't get to explore the city because we were having a blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
I was freezing. I said, what am I doing here?
Yep.
And Jody, I know you love coffee and chocolate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's go into the sweetest debate of all time. Milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Oh, that is a sweet debate. Well, it really depends. Like I do like milk chocolate when it has other things in it, like almonds, or if it has like a caramel, salted caramel. But I'm also a really big fan of dark chocolate, just plain. So I could go either way on that debate.
I love
Mhm.
dark chocolate, but I'm trying to have it only once a week because otherwise I want to eat every day. And just like you, I also love coffee. It's
Yeah.
the best combination.
Absolutely. Yes, I just was in Europe actually in May and was doing some traveling with my family, and for the first time used an espresso. I had never used one before, but the hotels we were staying in had these Nespressos and I loved them. The flavor of the coffee was so rich, so strong, and so we came back and one of my daughters decided that she wanted an espresso for her birthday. So I was all too happy to buy that for her because then I get to use it too.
Yeah,
So yeah, been using that and it's just been, one of those treats that I'm like, I get my Nespresso today.
yeah, I love Nespresso. And for us writers, we need
Mm,
coffee. We need a
yeah.
better. I want coffee now, so
Yeah.
it's easy.
Uh-huh.
And Jody, for our listeners who are listening to us now, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself?
No, sure. Well, I've been married for over 30 years to my college sweetheart. We have 5 children, and our baby just graduated from high school this year and started college. She's commuting to a local college and still living at home. So I'm really happy that she's still with us. I'm just not quite ready to be an empty nester.
Oh,
But even though I'm mostly empty nested, I my family having 5 kids, I'm just always busy with stuff going on. But even so, I feel like I do have longer periods of time now to devote to my writing career versus when they were all younger and all living at home. So that's a little bit about me, where I'm at right now. Like you said, I live in Michigan, and after grad school, my husband and I moved to Michigan, and we've loved it living here. And that's about when I started getting really serious with my writing career, was when we first moved to Michigan, and I had a 2-year-old at the time, and I also had twin babies. I had my daughters were born when we first moved here to Michigan, and so we were I was in the middle of I was writing heavily at that time and getting close to being published. And then the twins were born, and I put my writing career on hold for a short time while they were young. And so then when I picked back up, my youngest was just a baby. And so I used her nap times and their bedtime to really push forward in my writing career. And so she was um, just a baby when my first book was picked up by a publisher. And so she's now 18, and I've been writing heavily for all that whole time. Yeah. So, and as you said, have now published close to probably over 50 books now. My mom was a huge support to me, and she lives in town. So she would come and take my kids for me at other times so that I had writing time. And so I pulled her in as well. And so I think I just encourage people to try not to do this alone.
yeah.
There were times when I even hired college age students to come and watch my kids so that I could have extended, especially in the summers when, it was nice for them to have places to go and things to do rather than sitting at home while I worked. So I just encourage moms to figure out a way to carve out more time, undisturbed time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, I also learned that I can't wait until my life is perfect to begin writing. Like I'm always going to have interruptions. I'm always going to have, the dog eating someone's sock or a fight to break up or, just whatever it is, there's always interruptions and chaos going on around you. And so I never waited until my life was completely quiet and perfect to write. I just would say, I've got to sit down. I've got to do this, no matter the interruptions, no matter the chaos around me. I'm going to do this amount today. And I always set like a really reasonable amount that I could get done and just did it. And like even if it's 500 words a day, I made myself do that 500 words a day. And over the course of a year, 500 words adds up to a full book. So that's what I encourage. Try and carve out time, but also don't wait for life to be perfect to write.
Yeah, I love these tips. And actually, Jody, I would like to give a shout out to your husband and your mom. What are their names, please?
My husband's name is Jeff and my mom's name is Marilyn.
Jeff and Maryland. Thank you for helping this superhero reach her goals and help her to be this successful author that she is today. And of course, you are a truly superhero, Jody.
Oh, thank you.
And your upcoming book is entitled Calling on the Matchmaker. Can you give us a sneak peek into the inspiration behind this story?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I have many different series. And so I was moving from a series set in Colorado, and I wanted to find a new location. I didn't want to pigeon myself as a Western writer. So as I started researching, I landed on St. Louis, and I'm a historical romance writer. And so I'm constantly looking for, themes and inspiration that lends itself to not only romance, but a good historical period that has a lot of elements of danger and disaster, that just all those combinations that make for a good plot. And so I landed in St. Louis in 1849 because after doing some research there, I realized that St. Louis was the gateway to the West, and people from all over the world were arriving there. And it was also 1849 was also a horrible year in St. Louis for death because they had a deadly cholera epidemic and thousands of people died. And then not only that, but it was a year for disaster because an enormous fire broke out among the steamboats on the levee in St. Louis on the Mississippi River and destroyed large portions of the city. And so as I was looking at those things, I'm like, this would make the perfect setting for a new series. And so that was sort of all of the danger. And then on top of that, I realized that there was a large Irish population that lived in St. Louis. And I was really fascinated by the tradition of the Irish using matchmakers. And in the Irish culture, matchmakers are usually men who pass down this matchmaking tradition from father to son. And I just thought, well, that's so fascinating. There's a huge population of Irish in St. Louis. I'd love to have a matchmaker set there and to have this family who's a wealthy family based on a real St. Louis family that I researched that uses this matchmaker for matching all of their children. And so that's how the story was birthed out of all of that research. And it's turned out to be just such a fun series to write. I never realized just how fun the Irish are and the whole matchmaking tradition is. I've learned so much about it as I've written the books. So that's just a little bit about it and what inspired me.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. And in the 80s, 40s, matchmaking was a different process compared to modern dating apps.
Yes, it was. Very much.
If the Irish matchmaker were alive today, how do you think they would navigate the world of online dating and modern romance, Jody?
Oh boy, they would probably just be absolutely astounded by it. But actually there is still an Irish matchmaker. There still are Irish matchmakers in Ireland. I in researching some of my books, doing some of the research, I found a book written by an Irish matchmaker who still uses the old-fashioned way, the big leather-bound book where he sits in the pub and people come to him and ask him to help him make matches. So I would love to see what he has to say about the online matches. I think he would find it probably pretty, in some ways, similar to what he does, in that he looks at all of the matches and all of the people and tries to look beyond appearance and look beyond just the outward qualifications to like what qualities the people have that would really mesh. And hopefully that's what people are doing when they're using online apps, not just looking at pictures. I know that's part of the initial draw, obviously, is, oh, does that person look attractive? But we want to get deeper than just the surface level, right? And I think that's what the matchmakers were trying to do, is really look at least in my story, my matchmaker, he's got a savvy to him. He's wily, he's really intuitive, and he's seeing all of the external qualities as well as the internal qualities that bring people together. And so
I would like to see his approach,
yeah. Yeah, he's quite the character. I actually have, his father is the actual matchmaker, but I wanted a younger matchmaker to also be a character in that carries over into the entire series. So readers will be introduced to this matchmaker in book 1, and then he comes in and matches in each of the books, and his techniques are a little non-traditional, and his father is a little leery of these techniques that this young matchmaker's using, his son is using. But then in the 4th book, he gets his own match. And so that'll be exciting to write his story. I haven't written it yet, but I have lots of ideas for him.
Mm-hmm. And Jody, how do you approach the research process to ensure historical accuracy while crafting a romantic storyline set in a specific time period?
I have quite an elaborate research process, actually. I generally start by doing an internet search, kind of just seeing what's out there about a specific topic, and look at all of the information. And then I'm sort of old-fashioned. I have just a handy notebook, and I jot lists down and kind of brainstorm. And so my brainstorming process is one where anything goes, like any idea at all out there, I just write it down. And so then I compile this brainstorm list and start to narrow down sort of what I want to focus on for that particular series. And as I'm researching, most of the time, or as I'm doing this kind of general internet research, I will then start to narrow it down and look at the bibliographies on sites and start to find actual books and write those books down and write those resources down. And then once I'll start compiling that list of more specific research books. And then I'll go on Amazon or Thrift Books and look up those resources. And then from there, a lot of times you'll find, oh, if you like this, then you'll also like this. And so my book list begins to expand from that. And then either I'll get those books from the library or I'll purchase them, and then I'll use those books. So I'll compile a pretty good stack of research books that I actually buy, because I've found that if you really want good detail, you can't just rely on a short article online, that you really have to get a book. And so a lot of times I'll get biographies, or I'll even get fiction books. I did a series for example, like a young woman who was a doctor in the West. And so I bought some fiction books about a midwife or about a veterinarian, all my different characters. And then I read those as well. And it's really enlightening to just get yourself into that world of what it was like. And so watch movies about those things and just submerge myself in that world of whatever time period I'm in while I'm writing that series. So that's kind of my process. It starts wide, funnels down, real specific, but I always eventually rely on books, for the actual details of everything. But then while I'm writing, obviously, you need a quick fact. It's so nice nowadays to be able to just pop on, find out, a quick fact about something, just to double check, make sure you have all your facts correct. So yeah, that's my process. Mm-hmm.
Work, but I'm sure you have fun when you write.
Oh, it is fun. Yeah, I've learned so much. It is really fun.
Jody, would you like to leave a message for our listeners today?
Well, I would like to say that all of my books have inspirational messages, ways that you can be encouraged, and especially the Matchmaker book. I think that the main message is that life doesn't always go the way that we plan, but that when we surround ourselves with family and friends, we draw on those people to walk alongside of us, that maybe it doesn't always make it smoother. The hardships don't always go away, but we have someone by our side that we can walk through those difficulties with, and that makes a world of difference. So I hope readers will take a chance on my series and enjoy them. And yeah.
Yes, thank you. And your upcoming book is going to be launched in December.
In December, yes.
And the next one, the second one from the series?
The second one will be releasing in 2024. And as I said, it's about a family. So each one has the different children who will be finding matches with the matchmaker's help. So if you love romance and you love matchmakers and sort of arranged marriages or marriages of convenience, then this series might be right up your alley.
Can't wait to read this book.
Thank you.
About matchmaking.
Yeah.
To stay connected and up to date with her literary endeavors, be sure to follow her online. And please, Jody, tell us, what are your contacts? Where can we find you online?
Right. The best place to reach me is my connect page on my website, which is jodyhedlund.com. And another really great place to connect is my Facebook group, which is Jody Hedlund's Reader Room. And there I post advanced reading opportunities, giveaways, chat with readers. So there's all kinds of stuff. There's a lot going on there. So I just encourage readers to join me there.
Wonderful. So, Jody, it was such a pleasure to have you here today. Again.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a pleasure of mine to be with you in the RV.
Yes, thank you. And I'll go back to Michigan during summertime.
Yes, definitely.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you'll be notified when the next one is posted. Please rate this podcast and share it with your friends. Thank you for listening, and remember, relationships don't exist. Relating does. Until next time.